All right. Lee Ann, thanks for joining us. Why don't we just jump right in and get started? Please go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your business and what you guys do.
Okay, thank you. It's nice to be here. Thank you for having me. So my name's Lee Ann Wiiki, and I'm CEO of a small business called Lintu Solutions. We are kind of an interesting and a little bit different business than I think most people in this space. We started out our work in the U.S. federal government about 5 years ago, doing general AI, general IT services work. And about a year ago, we tilted, actually, before all of the strangeness happened with Doge in the government market, we had started to get into AI adoption because of the developments in generative AI. Of course, AI has been in the federal space for many, many moons, decades. But generative AI and the fact that AI was going to be able to run on edge devices was a real wake-up call to me. So I dropped back, look at my corporate strategy, and realized that there probably weren't going to be a lot of programmers in 10 years, and that I
Mm,
needed to really think about what was my business going to be. So as a result of that, I engaged a couple of people that I had worked with in the past, some of whom had actually worked through the transition of business when the internet and PCs came into play, and it really upended the way that businesses worked. And we built out an AI adoption model that was very focused not only on process, but also on the human side of it, because that's what's really different in this case. People's jobs are changing. The way that technology is interacting with humans is very different. And so our services at this point are focused around AI adoption, and that includes all of the strategic management consulting through actually building AI and then transitioning it into operations for companies. We continue to do our government work, but in the commercial sector, the way we like to summarize it is we're strategists who build and
mm.
builders who train. So we transition and train people to be able to go forward as well.
Super cool. So are you then training people on the tools that are out there in the marketplace, or are you developing your own tools, or both?
So we're focused on services. So we build specific AI agents
Yep.
using large language models that are out there and the evolving tools, which are interesting to keep up with, to say the
Mhm.
least.
Yeah.
But we are product and platform agnostic, building based on what suits the specific need or use case of the business. So services, we help to strategize with business. What are their business problems? Then we go out and find what are the right tools or the right set of tools to build what they need. Then we build it, transition it to them, and let them take it forward. Um, so it's primarily on the services side. We're not one of those companies that's building something to go out and do, big funding rounds and that type of thing. We're purely in the services side.
Okay. And then I'm sure you have this kind of conversation a lot. What kinds of fears or uncertainties do your customers have when it comes to AI?
Well, so it's interesting. So there's current customers and then there's prospective customers.
Yep.
The current customers, most of them are just really trying to solve business problems. And the biggest concern they have is holding on to market share
Okay.
and being able to maintain a position as the market changes. Prospective customers, many of them are in a little bit of denial still.
Mm,
I think that most of them have been bombarded with AI information from every angle,
mm.
and their eyes have glazed over, and they are knowing that they need to do some things, but not sure what direction to go. And I need to segment kind of the group of people that I'm talking about. We are focused primarily on mid-market and larger small businesses. We're not in the commercial sector going after the huge, Fortune 100 companies. We figure there is more than enough work that needs to be done. Those guys are either going to hire directly or they're going to go to a Booz Allen or a Bain or a Deloitte or somebody like that. That's not our market. We're trying to help the people who don't have the ability to hire all these high-powered resources onto their own payroll or pay $1 million or $2 million for somebody to come in and help them figure it out.
Right, right. Okay, good. Then looking at your business, how do the trends in AI affect your business? What are you guys using AI for?
So we're using it for all kinds of things. We use it for fleshing out strategies. We use it for building out architectures, alternatives. We use it for market research. We use it for tools for building. We use, as I think most people will continue to do so, traditional SaaS tools for things like accounting and timekeeping and that type of thing. Anything that's very compliance focused. But if it's not something that needs to already have some pretty standard business rules written into it, we're going to AI. It's less expensive, it'll be more tailored, and we can use it in a way that is much more advantageous to us without a whole lot of huge cost.
Yeah. Do you use AI for marketing and sales?
Yes, so it's interesting, as a business owner, you get approached by, all kinds of businesses who want to sell to you as well. And I've had very interesting pitches from all kinds of people who have AI-based marketing capabilities to go out and build your network, to, build your LinkedIn presence, all that kind of stuff. We are not using any of those because our marketing really needs to be straight at a specific target set.
Mhm.
And so, and part of this might be just my background, having spent, decades selling to the federal government. I'd rather start with a set of target customers I'm going after and go directly to them and the
Mhm.
segment down who are the people that I want to reach out to and build campaigns to get to them at various different levels, which is how I always did work in pursuing large government contracts. I don't see the purpose for somebody like us who is small enough to spend a huge amount of resources on marketing and SEO, which is now pretty much dead because of AI searches anyway, and the
Right.
whole cottage industry of marketing and sales consultants and professionals and AI tools. We're not selling to consumers, so we don't need that. And in
Right.
fact, a couple of our first clients, we've done the same thing for. We've helped them to tailor down to a very specific set of prospects that are their ideal customers for them to go out and reach out to.
Right. Got it. Good. So what level is your business at right now? In terms
Um,
of how you quantify that? Is that revenue? Is it customers? How do you quantify that?
well, so we're definitely in growth stage. We are the kind of business in the size that we are and the way that we're trying to grow. I don't ever see us being a company that's got 1,000 clients simultaneously. We're a
Right.
little bit more of a boutique kind of company. What's interesting is we're trying to help our clients mature in their ability to buy and use the types of things that we sell. That's not the case in the federal government. We continue to do cybersecurity work and user interface design and basic programming, and all those things are there. Those are shifting and changing as they figure out how to use AI, but
Yep.
we're still doing that work. It's really the commercial sector where we're going after those more cutting edge kind of services and implementations of AI, where that's evolving.
Right. Which government do you focus on?
So we had been traditionally was supporting the Internal Revenue Service,
Okay.
GSA, NASA. We did some criminal justice information systems work for state of Minnesota. We did cryptography policy. We did some supply chain for cybersecurity for NIH.
Cool.
So the cybersecurity, of course, is a huge element of what's happening with AI as well. So we think that set of skills that we have is really important in the way that we're approaching artificial intelligence as well.
Got it. So when customers talk about you guys, what do you think they say about your business? What's the best things that they say?
The best things that they say. Well, a number of people in our local community keep calling me the AI lady, so I kind of like that actually.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm never planning to put a Neuralink chip in there or anything,
No,
but
no, no. Right.
but I
It could
think
be coming, but
and we've done some prompt engineering courses for clients as well. And I think one of the most complimentary things that people have said about us is that we're taking this really complicated and overwhelming subject and making it very tangible and real and understandable in real people language, because there is so much jargon out there.
yeah,
It is such an overwhelming subject for most people. And that's really what we want to do. We want to help people solve business problems, not help them to get ensconced in a whole new set of language around what artificial intelligence is.
yeah. Awesome. Where do you want to be in 6 months, 12 months from now? What's your short-term goal?
Well, so in 6 months, I'd like to have probably an additional 10 flagship type clients where we are truly solving business needs with AI in the operational space. Marketing and sales has been kind of the easy place for people to start because it's less risky. But
Hmm.
we want to be in furthering our clients' ability to change markets. And we've got one leading client in that space now where we are helping them to look at the capabilities that they have, how the markets are changing, and where they can take the assets that they have and grow into new spaces. So if we had 10 in that space who we were helping to really rethink their market position, and their competitors, that would be a success for us. In
Right.
a year, I'd like to see us back in doing more federal government work once they settle down
Right.
and
Right.
help them to be thinking about how they can really dramatically change the way that government delivers services using AI, but they're not quite ready for that. And I believe that we'll always keep a balance between our federal government and state government work together with the commercial work.
The campaigns that you're doing, kind of the old school government style campaign, and then the commercial group that you're going out after, are you doing in-person campaigns like cold emails? Are you doing LinkedIn conversations? How do you find those 10 flagship customers?
So on the commercial side of things, we are actually using AI to segment down the kinds of characteristics of the types of customers we want to be working with and reaching out directly to them.
Cool.
That's how we're having those conversations and how we're reaching out to them. We do background research on them before we reach out for the first call. So this is more of a bespoke
Yeah.
approach to
Yep.
those clients because there's a lot of noise in digital marketing right now, and I
Yep.
don't find it effective for us at all.
Yeah.
Um, we need to do it. We are doing it for awareness, but it's not the way we're going to find our clients, I don't think. And then, of course, referrals and word of mouth from there. The
Right.
government is a little different, and it remains. Um, it has a process for how it does things. I don't think that's gonna change dramatically. A lot of
Right.
our work, because we are smaller, is in teaming opportunities. So, for example, by word of mouth, we've teamed up with IBM on a couple of different opportunities, one to run the supercomputers at NOAA,
Cool.
that predict weather. Another for the FAA air traffic modernization work, because they know the kind of work that we've done, um, and they know that we have capabilities with those certain clients in their
Hmm.
modernization efforts in the past. So for us, we're not about a big marketing campaign, consumer type of advertising.
Right. Right. What do you think the biggest challenge will be for you to get to the 10 flagship customers?
Well, I think there's a couple of challenges. One is pure market dynamics. And the reason I say that is OpenAI and some of the large language model providers, and providers like Palantir
Yep.
have gone to a model where they want to provide the type of things that we do on a grand scale. I think
Hmm.
we're always gonna have the human touch. We're always gonna be the people that, mid-sized, smaller businesses will feel more comfortable working with. But there is no doubt that OpenAI is getting ready to launch all kinds of business function capability to sell directly to businesses, and so are the others. They are getting beyond just product, but also wanting to provide the services like Palantir has done with what they call forward deployed engineers.
Yep.
And that is very much going to potentially have an impact on the consulting market. I think the consulting market's going to get hit in many different ways. Already is, especially,
Already done. Yeah.
yeah, already is. But for us, I think our challenge to get to those 10 is to make sure that we are bringing in expertise and a niche understanding of specific markets where we continue to stay relevant together with that human touch and the ability to walk people through what is really a very overwhelming technology for making big moves with your business
Right.
when big moves are happening, whether you like them or not.
That's right. Okay, so last question, and I think I heard this in some of your answers, but you were talking about wanting to get to a place where you're helping people solve business problems and you want to get to maybe 10 flagship clients. But from a personal perspective, why does that matter to you? What drives you in this business?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, I am old enough. I started a little young with my kids, but I'm old enough. I have grandchildren now.
Oh,
And
cool.
there is potentially going to be a very, very different world that they grow up in. And I have a huge passion for helping to preserve the dignity of work and ownership of small businesses. That really drives me. As much as the government work is nice to have, and that is, longer term typically and important work to be done, and things like predicting weather, what really drives me is the societal impacts of what AI has the potential to do in a good way and in a bad way. And, one of the things that we're working on is working with our local government so that we can together figure out how are we going to maintain an economy in this new world where our particular county is rural. We're in rural West Virginia, not too far from DC, about 2 hours from DC, but we're
Okay.
mostly small businesses and contractors, and um, it's potentially going to be a very different world. And I want to make sure that humans remain at the center of that, and that humans continue to have purpose and ability to do things that they care about.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time today. We can call that a wrap. A couple of things background wise. So your progression is very much like mine. I've been in federal contracting space for 25 years. But I backed away from that a couple of years ago when kind of everything went bonkers. I was though with the some of the special kinds of agencies.
Mhm,
But now I'm doing kind of complete commercial focus and a similar reason, kind of going to help business owners solve business problems.
mhm,
But I like your angle where it's kind of both, that you're doing kind of AI adoption and then still got the foothold inside of the federal space. I've been thinking about going back in that direction again, but the the specials have a whole different like procurement process. So when you're
yeah,
not
yeah.
there, it's a little harder to get back in.
Yeah, I mean, if ever there was something, I would like to learn a little bit more about what you do and what your interest would be there, because we did go to the trouble of getting our GSA schedule and being hub zone certified and all of those things. When government went a little bonkers, the timing wasn't great for us because we had just gotten those things in place. So we're kind
Right.
of on hold until it straightens itself out. But, there is something about working for both, because in the commercial sector, you don't get the size, scale, and complexity of problems that
Right.
you get to solve and
Right.
see what happens when you're applying these kinds of things in that kind of environment. So you get the ultra super specialized in the government that you don't get in commercial,
Yep.
and they complement each other in interesting ways. If it's
Yep.
really just about making money, I would be still focused on trying to figure out only the government business, but the implications of this technology and what it's doing, I just have such a passion for the commercial sector and business owners who, like yourself and I have invested in building businesses which are now about to change pretty
Yeah,
dramatically.
that's right. That's right. For me, especially in that community, things change very rapidly over the last several years. Like after 9/11, for many years, it was very fast, forward leaning. We want to do things for the mission and go. About in the last 5 years, that shifted a lot and it started to slow down. So procurement cycles started getting longer, and it was, I don't want to spend, 100K to do this thing. I want to spend $100. And from like a government contracting perspective, you can't do anything in that realm, right? We were doing we were doing custom software. We were doing like networking things. There was a business that was making like collection gear and all of that. And I remember a customer sitting in a meeting one day saying, I want to have that thing, but I want it for $20. How do you build me them for $20? And the engineer was like, sir, that radio, that part is like $1,000. And that's one part, that's 1/100th of the whole box. Like, there's no way you can get this down to $20. So that kind of has shifted a lot. And I think the like willingness to do things in that circle had shifted a lot. So I started to kind of say, let's back out and do the commercial thing. And what I found very interesting was the first client that I had signed a contract with, I had given him my spiel and said this is what we do. And he said, okay, great, let's do it. He signed the contract immediately. And for me, like government contractor, that's like an 8 month long cycle, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I was like, wait, what do you mean? You don't need to like redline this and T's and C's and NDAs and da 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 da. Yeah, very interesting.
yeah. Well, and there's some history that's been lost in federal government contracting where, there was a day when people understood the defense industrial base needed to make money.
Yeah,
And
right,
it was actually a deal that was made with the industrial base.
right.
And it's just very different thinking. So much thinking has changed. And then with the change of administration and who knows, I don't think things are ever going to go back to what they were before, and they probably shouldn't in many ways.
Yep.
We just don't know exactly what the future looks like yet. So it'll be
Yeah.
interesting. But I am
So
a huge believer in the checks and balances and the procurement processes, and they do,
yeah,
serve us, but it's just a very different world.
yeah, yeah, very different. And as we continue talking, maybe there's a couple of ways to work together in the federal space and in the commercial side, because I still have all of my accesses,
Oh,
which which are helpful. I have
yeah.
like a green badge to get anywhere I need to get kind of thing. Um, I had a customer on the federal side actually just 6 months ago or so, and we had built them we built them kind of a communication system using kind of open source COTS things. And it was interesting because it was right before the Signal stuff came out with the leadership, right? The
Mm.
VP
Oh,
and
yeah.
Secretary SecDev and all of that. And they wanted this system that they wanted to send not anything like super sensitive, but sensitive-ish messages. So they had asked me to build it. Then typical government guy left, new guy came in and said, "Why are we building this? Why don't we just use Signal?" And it was right after Signal was in the news that whole week. I thought he was joking, and I laughed, and I was like, "You want to use Signal? Like, you know what has happened in the news in the last 2 weeks, right?" He's like, "Yeah, but Signal's free."
Ugh.
The thing I had built for them was it was a prototype stage, so it was in like the 50s of K. So, in a government
I
budget,
mean, that's virtually free in the federal government space, right?
exactly, that was virtually free. And I was like, I'm not sure you can get someone to build something like this for you for less than 50K for free, right? Like you can't. And anyhow, so that's the kind of thing that I was just like, you know what? I think this side of the industry is not doing so well right now, and maybe I should focus on the commercial.
Yeah, well, and even before change of administrations back 3, 4 years ago, there was such a dearth of contracting officers who understood
Yeah.
how to use the FAR and what they could really do with it, that they had
Yep.
gotten so conservative that they were just kind of,
Yep.
super conservative, risk averse box checkers because they didn't have the higher level skills to know how to really work with the FAR. And of course, now they're blowing the FAR up and they're doing different things and, you
Yep.
know, that they need some real settling time before they're gonna able to buy things other than some of those really critical mission things that they absolutely have to buy.
Yeah. And
Um,
you're dead on because that 50K job took 9 months to close. And the guy wanted it, the government guy wanted it, and I was like, "Do you not have a vehicle that you can just buy ODCs? Like this is a 50K purchase for software. This should be an easy thing." And he couldn't get his CO to do it. The CO was like, "We have to do a full competition. We have to put this out to the whole marketplace." And the guy's like, "I want this specific product that only this vendor makes."
Right, all you have to do is write a JNA, put it under, one of the set
Right?
aside contract vehicles. I've
Right?
done it before, I did it the company that I ran before I started this business was working with a client, and they needed some specialized risk management for cybersecurity. I said, "We're in 8A, here's the contract vehicles." They
Yep.
said, "Okay." They we didn't have to walk them through the whole process, but, the end client was able to go to their contracting people and they were able to put out an RFP, which turned out it only went to one contractor. We
Yep.
responded back. They were able to check and make sure that the rates were, fair and all that. And then they did a directed award for,
Yep.
$4 million. And on they went and they got the work done.
That's
Eh,
right.
But you got to have people who know what they're doing to be able to
That's right. So then
take
I
advantage of it.
I pivoted and I started doing BD help because I've run companies inside the government space. I built software, like I've run 60, $70 million companies and grown from 30. So I went to one of the bigs and there was a guy there that I had known and said, "Yeah, I'm happy to help you guys with BD." He said, "Great, we're going to bring you on as an outside consultant." I sat in their skiffs, and their idea of BD was to respond to every market survey and write
What a
this
way.
response. And I was like, Do you guys know this customer? No. Have you been in to speak with this customer? No. Why do you want to write? Why do you want to respond to this?" And it's like very generic work, right? It's like we need someone who can do IT work and da 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 da. And it's like, look, you can pay me to sit here and write these responses. I'm happy to do it, but I'm better served if you send me in to talk to the customers to tell them about your capabilities. Like, you're not going to win unless you do that.
Right, right. Activity for activity's sake.
Right? And they
Yeah.
didn't win. Like, I think I helped them write eight of them, and wasn't allowed to go talk to any customer, even though I had all the accesses. It was just how they did business, right? Like,
Which clients are you most aligned with?
um, the I would say the the ones that you can't talk about.
The three letter, the main.
Yep, yep,
Okay,
yep. On
yeah,
both sides of the river, but for me, it's
okay,
been more the south side.
okay.
Yeah,
Well, if you do want to have a follow-on discussion and there's something that we can do there, lots of people can build AI, lots of people can, well, there's getting to be more, although the tools change so rapidly.
yeah,
I mean, literally, I spend 2 hours a day keeping up on the AI news just to
yeah,
understand what the latest models are that are coming out and what the latest frameworks are and the best practices.
right.
And it's worth it because I could go deep into one tool set and understand and start building something. If I can't swap that out as rapidly as these capabilities are developing, it's just it doesn't make sense. And I
Yeah,
have to lead my
you'll be stuck.
teams to
Yeah,
have them. I mean, one of the safer bets these days in my world is Google because they are investing and I think they're going to be there longer term and they're
yeah,
incorporating the ability to work with lots of others. But, I don't know how many people in the government space are that agile to really
right.
understand and stay on top of it. All the people that I know in the space, they say the right words and that kind of thing,
Yep,
but they're not actually, they haven't put their hands in it. They don't really know what they're doing.
that's
And
right.
I don't think that they all understand just how actively you have to stay on top of stuff. So, if there are some clients in there who need things and
Yeah,
it's something that you want to pursue, let me know. I'd be happy to
yeah,
support you.
yeah. Maybe we can
We
team
don't
up.
have any DoD facility clearances,
Okay.
so, just as a FYI, I'm sure
Yep.
we could find somebody.
Yep.
I have lots of partnerships, but if anybody wants to get something done, wants to do it quickly, they did up the hub zone, um, uh, to, I think it's now $8 million directed award.
Okay.
I don't know how much those guys use the GSA contract vehicle, but they're kind of taking away a lot of the other contract vehicles, and that's the important one to still have.
Interesting. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, those guys, they have some of their own contract vehicles with some of the big primes, but
yeah, I'm
um,
happy to sub to people. I've got good relationships with lots of bigs.
yeah,
We've got major subcontracts to Accenture, SAIC.
yeah,
We're teamed with IBM. We're working with Deloitte. So, any of those, I know people at most of those big firms,
right.
the North
Same for me.
and all
It's
that.
CACI, Raytheon, like Nightwing, all of those bigs are the ones that we have relationships with. On the commercial side, so what we're doing now, it's funny because you talked about it a little bit in your interview. I help businesses more on the marketing and sales with AI. So we have some platforms that we put together to do the automated follow-ups and nurture campaigns and emails and texts and all of that. We do a little bit on the LinkedIn side, but it was funny to hear what you said about the LinkedIn piece because I agree with you that there's a lot of noise in LinkedIn and social
Yeah.
media, just people like blasting messages out. But there are some automation tools that are starting to come out that we leverage, and it's really just to find your target ICP and connect
Hmm.
with them,
Hmm.
right? So when I do LinkedIn stuff for clients, I don't completely automate it. I'm doing something like that, like, okay, let's at least automate the connection request to your ICP
Hmm.
that that part you don't have to deal with, but the messaging you should either own yourself or we put a person in place for, depending on the business, we might get like a virtual assistant who will just sit there and write to messages and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's some weird business models where you got people out of Croatia and
Yeah,
Pakistan who are hitting the like buttons and all that
exactly.
kind of stuff. Um, I just have found that I can do that segmentation that LinkedIn does for you
Yeah,
on ChatGPT.
yeah,
I was able to get my target list by writing a really good prompt. At one, we've written agents for people to help them do that.
yeah,
Find characteristics, go into studies and written documents for clients who have the kind of pain points that they're, So, I mean, if you ever want to do something like that for one of your clients, we could support you there.
yeah,
But it's that whole and I'm not dissing anybody because people are just trying to make a living and their
yeah,
world has been turned upside down. But marketing as we knew it is really not going to happen the same way. In that huge consumer world, absolutely still, there's
yep,
there are gonna be lots of people doing all the standard stuff and, you know, God bless them. That's not what we do. And
yeah,
B2B, I think it's getting harder and harder to get through to people
right.
on any kind of digital platform. We're more interested in conferences and seeing people face to face than we are trying to market through those platforms at this
Yeah.
point.
When you write your stuff in GPT, it's making like your lead list basically, like your emails and phone numbers.
Well, because we built a couple of agents that did that, I tried just doing a prompt that way for us, and it worked pretty well.
Yeah,
There's only so much that's available publicly,
right.
but again, because you understand the government space, I had this like little aha moment, like, why am I going through 12 steps to try to get somebody's attention on LinkedIn when they don't even go to LinkedIn every day, the people I want to talk to?
Yeah,
Why don't I just go directly to their email or call the company like the old-fashioned way and find out how I can get a hold of them? Just
right,
like you do in the government, where it's such noise and they don't respond to people. You got to have a real message and a real crafted message, but you can't do that on a large scale.
right.
But as a boutique business, absolutely you can.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, so some of these guys, their businesses are maybe marketing agencies and they want a large scale, so we're doing like, the lead gen aspect up front, but where we come in is if you have leads, then we'll automate the follow-up and the nurtures and things like that. We can do
Mhm.
lead gen stuff, but I tend to focus in the middle.
Yeah, and that's great, and that works for, mid-sized businesses who know who their ICP is, and they don't have a sales force who can do that follow-up.
Exactly.
But the more automated the world becomes, the more valuable those human connections are gonna be again.
Yeah, that's right. Because everyone's going to realize pretty soon that this is an AI talking to you, not a person, right?
Yeah, yeah,
We're even doing AI voice where you
yeah,
can still tell it's AI voice, but it does sound pretty cool.
and it's gonna get better and better. But
Yeah,
actually, I think about it like in the art world where people say, "Yeah, AI can create all kinds of art." Where the beauty is gonna exist is gonna be in the imperfections. And
right,
people are gonna appreciate that.
right.
It's like you have an artisan piece of wood that was crafted by somebody 2 generations ago, and it's got flaws, and they're beautiful.
That's right.
You know, we're gonna end up with the same thing in sales and marketing. When people fumble and just say something stupid, people realize, "Oh, it actually is a real human."
That's a human. I
I
saw, I
actually
saw a
like
meme
that.
once that said, I want AI to wash my dishes, not make art.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Like, yeah, kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Interesting world.
Interesting world. All right, well let's keep in touch.
Okay.
We'll keep in
Thank you
touch
so much.
and then yeah, see where things go.
All right, sounds good.
Great.
Have
Thanks.
a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.